process may be, oh, I just got an invoice.
Appreciate
Okay, who ordered this? Then they make the PO, and of course everything matches, right? So we specialize in procurement and supply chain, becoming a gateway to all of SAP's procurement applications, bringing together all of that data, processes, and applications, and making it as consumer friendly, as easy to use and self-service as possible. So we're going to be motivating this with a customer example, right? We're going to talk to you a little bit about our solution and what we have to offer, and then give you a kind of a high-level demo scenario, right, with a storyline behind the scenes, so you can see what's going on, and then wrap it up with a little bit about who is Convergent. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, super quickly. Significant energy company. They have a headquarters in Calgary, and effectively they had some procurement challenges. They buy a lot of services, they buy a lot of goods, and there's enough additional overhead with all of the different POs, getting those emailed out, workflows, approvals, and so on, that this was a significant overhead, and the administration around managing field tickets and services from their vendors at their different facilities was a massive administrative overhead. And if something goes wrong, then of course that means that the vendor is not necessarily getting everything that they need when they need it. So looking for an opportunity to go do that better, because our solution is part of the industry cloud for SAP, and because of the way it installs inside the ECC or S4 system, it meant that all of the business rules and integration issues that you have with other third-party solutions were effectively irrelevant. So all of those little things like the security rules and material posting periods and things like that are all immediately honored, because it's not data in more than one place. It's literally giving that view into just that supplier's information and the collaboration that goes with it. And from there, those field tickets can flow in, or purchases from third parties can flow in, and you have that interaction with that vendor, helping to make sure that the information around the services received, the goods received, is shared and aligned. And changes on a PO can be done really quickly and bounced back and forth at a line item level, not just at a header level. So there's often the opportunity to feel a little bit shy anytime you're going to change something in the way that you're working with your vendor community or with different business units within your organization, especially when you're dealing with field supervisors and management that are running energy facilities. So one of my favorite quotes was Jan, who's kind of the number 2 at PCC. He's one of the folks that made the decision to go and make this change. The initial expectation was that there's going to need to be a push to go make the change happen in the business and with the vendors. And as soon as the first few vendors were onboarded and the field team started to see how much easier it was, and then some of the other vendors who they all talk, let's not kid ourselves, especially when they're all filing in on site and then leaving from site, and they're sharing meals at the dinner table. As soon as they started to find out how much faster things were getting processed and how much more efficiently that was, then it really just started to be pulled into other vendors, with other vendors asking to be onboarded instead of needing to go and push them into it. So that tells me that sense of adoption is just massively powerful. And so that's my favorite part of the outcome. Key results, thousands of service entry sheets now. Just in the first few weeks, there was dozens of them, but thousands of POs and field tickets done, and it's all done on BTP in terms of the presentation. So all of the security for BTP for sharing and presenting out is done on BTP, and then as the next step is extending out into the network, so that in their case, the network is a next step. And for some people, if they've already got, for instance, the business network or Ariba, then you already have a bunch of vendors onboarded, and then they can actually click through the network in to take advantage of some of the field ticket solutions and some other things that complement what the network already does. So yeah, Julio, thanks so much.
Perfect. By the way, don't feel shy. Ask any questions you want.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, so let me just say a few words about our solution, which is focused on procurement and supply chain. First, we're completely based on SAP technologies, business technology platform, and we integrate with all of the procurement applications, whether it's ECC, S4HANA, Ariba, Fieldglass, IBP, etc. Right? No matter what you have, we can plug into it and be able to use the data, manipulate the data, be able to make efficient the processes. So our goal is to become that one-stop shop for all of your data processes as well as applications. So you can, even today, you get too much of this swivel chair effect, right? Even so, you can be sitting in front of your S4HANA, but then there's relevant information and you have to look up on Ariba, and you have to go over there to a separate screen. And oh wait, what about Fieldglass? Hold on. And so wouldn't it be great if all of that was just simply side by side in one pane of glass, right? And then not only is it's not just passive, it's not just information, but if you see a list of, say, purchase orders, you can go click and go immediately to that document, whether it's in S4HANA or Ariba. Why should you care, right? Or at the same time, where there's potentially some data or action that you want to take, maybe you want to do a little guided buying, you can just simply type in, I'm looking for a desk, and be launched into that application. Or applications from Convergent. So we basically follow the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the functionality is in SAP, and then we extend it with 20% more additional functionality, especially with industry-specific type of technology, whether it's services. Sean mentioned line items for particularly something that's favorites of manufacturing. Okay, to better distinguish our product, and then you can then go into our applications, which also have a lot of design thinking, handheld, guided processes to make it as easy as possible for people in your companies to be able to use procurement. 3 main areas that we focus on in terms of Rapid Vendor Portal. One, of course, is that operational efficiency for your procurement. Absolutely. I'll go deeper dive into that in a minute. But also analytics. How do you know if you're doing well or badly, or if you're getting better? So across the SAP procurement landscape, we can reach into all of that, grab the information, bring it over. We have a complete data model end-to-end from procurement, for whether it's contracts and sourcing to POs, invoices, all the way up to payment. All the applications of SAP in one place. With SAC on top, we have 6-7 different stories with 50+ pre-created reports. And this is a collaboration with SAP, so we know that it's not already existing in S4HANA or Ariba or some other place. In terms of procurement analytics, and then finally sustainability. Topic du jour. This is also a collaboration with SAP and especially the supply chain control tower. And we've actually invested, and we have a lot of ability to help guide your employees to enter in the data that they need. Again, lots of hand-holding, simple questions, guided processes. In terms of the operational procurement, think of it again in terms of 3 main areas. One is governance. So most likely you're already doing some sort of category management. You're making deals with some of these preferred suppliers for a volume discount, 10, 20, 30%. But if people don't actually buy from that vendor, you don't get your savings, right? So we have applications that use, again, simple questions, guided processes. You know what? All you have to do is fill in these 3 fields, not the 40 that SAP normally shows you, right? So hand-holding you, instead of seeing this complex procurement process, it's like make it as simple as possible. And so then they pick the preferred vendors with the preferred items at the preferred rates or prices. Yeah, we've actually, in one case for one customer, helped them save $8 million by using this enforcement on on sheet metal alone. Sheet metal. Okay? At the same time, if people don't use your processes and software, it doesn't matter how fancy it is. Right? So adoption is very important. This is actually where our history of design thinking, and we're an app house, as Sean mentioned before. We are actually the first partner-based app house in all of North America, and we're still the only one in Canada in terms of the app house network. And design thinking means that we put the customer at the center. And so with these guided processes and simple questions, we've helped move 300 to 500 employees onto procurement processes and software in a matter of like 3 weeks with little to no training, not months, right? So get them to actually use your process and software. And then finally, once they're using it, it better be efficient. So efficiency, of course, is the third leg, right? We've been able to, we want to make it as easy as possible and make it to the point where it's management by exception. Too many of our customers, they're basically nannies for their vendors. Did you send us the invoice? Will you be able to ship on time? Etc. Emails, phone calls. That's all they do. They want to get away from that so that automate it all as much as possible and just focus on those areas where something's going wrong. That's much more high value, right? So we've been able to get a 6x improvement in terms of efficiency and lowering your cost, right? And we even, to the point where even stuff like evaluated receipt settlement. So if you're buying off of your own records and receiving off of your own records, well, shoot, you can just pay off of your own records as well. And you can cut out that extra 20 to 25% of process that you don't need anymore.
Those are not standard templates, right? Those are actual reports, what you were just talking about, right? Okay. Yeah. And we can customize those ones, or we can create new ones too.
Absolutely. It's a complete data model. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's a complete data model, whether it's in something like Data Warehouse Cloud. In fact, I'm going to hop around.
Sorry to stop you in between.
No. And so these are some examples of the reports. And we've actually collaborated specifically with pre-sales from ISBN to make sure that the reports that we have are not already existing in S4HANA or ISBN or some other place.
Understood.
Right? So these are things that customers have asked for. And so we know that we're adding value and not just simply duplicating. Okay, but since it has a whole data model underneath, where we suck in all the data from whether it's Ariba, Fieldglass, IBP, or whatever, we can put it into that data model and report off of it.
So what kind of reports do you have in Fieldglass? Because we are using Fieldglass for like hiring the contractor, right? Yeah, because all our employee data is in SuccessFactors and all our contracting data is in Fieldglass.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we have several reports just on contingent workforce, right? And by the way, that can be either real time or via the data model. Because oftentimes what we do, we like to show things through WorkZone, so everything can be put together in one pane of glass, right? And the nice thing about Fieldglass is you can actually, their APIs are such as you can go there in real time and grab information.
Oh, okay.
Or we can do it via the data model as well. So you have an option.
Thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, if you ever want to take a look at that, we can show you a demonstration of that.
Yeah.
Right? And here I just kind of showed you a few examples. Right? By the way, they're all interactive. And you can do deep dives, into the information. So it's a full SAC story. This is actually what the Rapid Vendor Portal looks like, right? So the whole point is, here I'm just showing you, a couple of graphs. There's 50 plus, but the point is, you could have S4HANA right next to Ariba, right next to Fieldglass, right? So in one place, you have all the information that you need instead of having to go to multiple screens, right? Right next to, all the feature functionality that we bring, all the extensions that we've created, so you can use that as a launching pad as well for applications, whether it happens to be any, from whether it's procurement, supply chain, etc. Right? You can also use it as a launching pad for SAP applications as well. So I mentioned do a quick guided buying, right? Or kick off a contract.
How much time does it take for your company to deploy this application? And like what is the process like? I mean,
it's all
is it like a year project?
No.
Or is it like 6 month project?
Less. So
Is it like
yeah, 8 to 12 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So it's prepackaged software. It's on the SAP store. It's already Spotlight on the store, and we're actually negotiating to become endorsed at this point. We're part of the SAP Cloud or Industry Cloud as well.
Okay.
For utilities, chemical, and the whole mid-market. So we have a lot of SAP blessing as a preferred solution.
Okay.
Just being right now, we happen to be Spotlight. There's only 38 partners at Spotlight level out of 24,000, right? Industry Cloud, there's only 250 partners in all of Industry Cloud. And then for each individual, like utilities or chemical or mid-market, there's only like 30 approved and solutions from partners that are blessed by SAP. So we have a very elite level that we are in. So this is the analytics, 50 plus pre-created reports, 7 different categories and stories. Sustainability, topic du jour. So we have a very specifically a collaboration with especially the supply chain folks in BTP and the Sustainability Control Tower. And so we've invested to make it as easy as possible for your own employees to be able to enter in data, do the right calculations so everything is in the right metric, et cetera. Interested in just seeing a little high-level demo? Sure. So for this, what we're going to do, just to set the stage, right? Happens to be an oil and gas customer, right? They're having procurement problems. They're not really following their processes. Their process right now is, oh, I've got an invoice. Who ordered this? Who can approve it? Then they create the PO, and of course, everything magically matches. Up to the fact, right? So, but they just hired a new VP of procurement. Her job is to get those 20 to 30% in savings. Now, for the purpose of this demo, we're going to assume that she's already done some category management and negotiated some contracts, right? Perhaps with sourcing and contracts from Ariba or something, or just individually. We're going to take it from there to help enforce that, be able to analyze and see how she's doing, so she can keep track over the year. Is she getting better or not? Okay, and which part of her procurement is doing well or not? Okay, so first what we're going to take a look, analytics and sustainability. Just a quick, there we go. Okay, so this is just an example. So the whole point is, this is an SAC screen, but we can show it through WorkZone, either as individual graphic cards or as a whole story that is interactive. And you can do deeper dives. So you can filter the information. So if you say, I just want to see this cost center, you can do that. And the information can be brought in from, whether it's S4HANA, Ariba, Fieldglass, IBP, we can bring it all together in one place. Here's a view in terms of sustainability, how we plug in and help use those guided processes to help employees get the information in there. And of course, then do the integrations as well with all the other data sources to help get the information into the Sustainability Control Tower.
So when you do the deep dive on any of the point,
yeah,
how fast the data is captured and showed up on the screen? Is it like
okay, that's where I was saying you have 2 choices. If you're doing the data model, it's like a data warehouse, and so we're going to do that like on a nightly process. Especially with Ariba, just given some of the constraints that they have with their API.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to do this basically once a day. So it's a snapshot. That's why I was saying some others like S4HANA, Fieldglass, right? They have an OData interface, and you can just do it in real time.
Real time, yeah. But
so you have a choice.
Ariba has a limitation.
Ariba has a limitation. But, at the very least, you have a single view into all of that data that you can all then take a look at, report off of, right? And now you have a choice of these 50 plus different reports. You have a starting point. What I saw, especially I was part of SAP Business Objects for a long time as well, in addition to Ariba. I saw our customers spend 2, 3, or more months per report. So at least with 50 plus, they have a starting point, and if they want to extend them, modify them, add to that, great. It's very easy, but at least you have a starting point to, with end-to-end performance metrics and everything. So now in terms of, making sure that people follow the procurement process, pick the right vendor, item, service at the right rate and price point, right? So starting with our vendor portal here, there we go, right? We pick simplified requisitioning. We take a look at all our purchase orders, right? And then we can be guided in terms of, what do we want to be able to grab? Is something going to be coming from a catalog, a punch-out catalog, or perhaps, an existing contract? And so the whole idea is to try, as you can see, there's a nice list of different places where you can go for the more standardized, choices, right? And the whole idea is that, guide people to what they're going to be ordering, right? So that you have more spend on contract. Okay. Then we, put the purchase requisition through. Using my inbox, you can approve it very quickly. Yes or no.
That's good that it's on cell phone too.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. And then in terms of PO confirmations and management, we can actually do this to the item level. This is something that's very popular, especially in manufacturing, or where you have a lot of materials coming in for a particular project. We have one utility customer. They would get 300 to 400 invoices and field tickets per project at the very end. And then originally it was just on paper. And so literally they said they would put on their headphones, and for each piece of paper, for each invoice, they would have to inspect it, stamp it, and approve it. And then they digitized by going to spreadsheets. But then they had a line per invoice. So it didn't really change the process, right? So what you really want to do is automate that as much as possible. Right? Instead of doing everything at once, what you want to be able to do is interact at the line item level. Right? So especially in manufacturing, you could get hundreds or thousands of line items, but you want to know, will you be able to deliver that? Do you have the right quantity? Are you going to be delayed? Right? Tell me at that item level and have a conversation and be able to record it in your ERP. Right? And so this is just given an example of having a conversation at that line item level, which extends, by the way, what SAP can do, which is at this point only header level. Okay. Now, in terms of services, also we have a lot of extensions here in terms of services, especially outcome-based services, right? Where you don't necessarily care who the person is as long as they have the right certifications, and you care that things get done on time, that they're hitting their milestones. Okay, and you want them to be able to then fill that out where it happens, when it happens, in as easy a manner as possible. Get them to be guided to make sure they don't go over their budget, right? And so what we'll show you here is that as they're filling this out, we can actually show we can guide them to, here are the purchase orders, here are the items that you can then put, values in for. Oh, we used 10 hours, right? And then at the top, what you'll see is it'll show you how much budget they have left over. Okay, so they can visually very quickly see, did they use it all up or do they have some left? Invoice management, again, being able to show at the item level, to be able to do things and automatically, do those PO to invoice flips, taking advantage of, existing capabilities within ERP and Ariba, and plus our own capability with the line item extensions. Okay. All right. And then finally, being able to receive. So if we even say, if you can buy things off of your own record, receive off of your own records, you could even do stuff like evaluated receipt settlement, and then leave off the whole invoicing process. That saves you an extra 20 to 25% in terms of time, effort, and money. Yeah, and of course we have everything that's automated with barcoding and et cetera, right? And so then we can show you an example of that. All of this is designed to make things as efficient as possible, get rid of processes you may not need anymore, okay, because they've just been around for thousands of years. Okay. I think that's it. So finally, then, end of the story, our VP of procurement, she's been able to enforce her category management and the contracts, so more spend on contract. She's been able to do this all very efficiently, managed by exception, automated as much as possible. And she's been able to get all her employees to actually use the procurement processes and software, so increase adoption. And so this was a brief example
That's cool.
of exactly that. Okay, so just to wrap up, Sean was talking about Convergent before. Just to really drive it home, we're part of the App House Network. We're a gold sponsor. We're on the store, Spotlight status, going to endorse this year. And we're also part of one of the very few partners in Industry Cloud. No questions? In that case, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to our talk.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the
Nice.